Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, as the case, whatever the case may be, wherever you're tuning in from. You're very welcome to another pre-match carnage for Rangers versus Liverpool. And loads of other chat around it. We have some chat around the injuries, the comebacks, the woes, the highs, the lows, and some Mbappe chat in there as well to just liven up proceedings. And of course, I've got Conrad with me to chat all things Liverpool, Rangers, Mbappe, etc., etc. How you doing, pal?
Yeah, doing good, Grizz. Thanks for having me on. It's an unusual time for us to have a show, but you know what? It's quite interesting mixing up a bit. But no, I'm doing
Yeah,
good.
it is.
Yeah,
Actually, you're right. It's the first time we've done a daylight
yeah, that's what I was going to say. Daylight stream. Yeah, no, it's
daylight
doing.
stream.
Yeah, doing good. Obviously, the therapy session. I think that's what Keith said in our chat. We're turning into it's a therapy session on a Sunday night. Feel a lot better after that, to be honest. I'm glad we had the chats when we did. Regarding today's news, it's interesting. I don't know if that's the right word. It's a talking point, and we'll go into it. But not to steal the thunder, but the Mbappe situation. I think I saw a tweet by someone who said, "I can't be bothered with this again." I would tend to agree with that because, I mean, how long did we have this last year? It was about 6 months, maybe 4 months last year. So it'll be interesting to talk about. But yeah, seems like it's going to be a Groundhog Day with that situation.
No, I don't think it will be that. Well, yeah, in terms of
In terms
the
of Mbappe,
Mbappe
not
circus,
Liverpool. Yeah, yeah.
sure, you're spot on. Yeah, in terms of the Mbappe circus, it's never ending, and I guess, I guess it's great that. Well, no, it's not great that he didn't end up at Liverpool. Of course, he would have been great, but in terms of the character he's turning out to be and sort of being perceived as maybe, or maybe he is, it's something that we just wouldn't. And I don't think Jurgen Klopp would welcome that at all in our squad, right?
No, I agree, Chris. What I would say is, like, sometimes there can be situations where it exaggerates a player's interest, and you know what it's like. Even with Salah's situation, the contract, sometimes there is a bit of to and fro. But if this is true and he's doing it again, to me, I think he's a brilliant player, brilliant talent, and he's got the potential to get to a very high level. But he seems to. I might be wrong here, and I don't want to assume this, but I sometimes feel like he's getting a little bit ahead, of his station and the character in our squad. It kind of feels like if it's not his way, he'll kick up, throw the toys out the pram, and I feel like Klopp wouldn't have that anywhere near the squad, especially right now. There needs to be one thing we've still got is unity. I mean, you don't really hear much about us in the changing rooms and the dressing room, and I feel like if you got Mbappe, I don't think Klopp would actually go down that route, even if it was possible, which I don't think it is.
Yeah, look, what do we know? What do we know about the Mbappe situation? Let's try to get it up and try to see some reliable journalist reporting on it. So I can call him my friend now, Julien Laurent.
Yeah, no. By the way, I never spoke to you on that. I meant to message you. That was superb because I
Yeah,
actually I watched it. Him and Gabby, they do the ESPN podcast.
Gab Makotti, yeah.
Yeah. So outstanding, Chris. That was
That
brilliant.
was, I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed that. Let's go through some comments. Grizz, Saeed says, Grizz, get onto your sources. Listen, that boat sailed, man. Leave me alone, please. Yeah, I don't think Mbappe wants to play in Europa League next season. Leave me alone, Gav.
At this point, I'd take that over confidence.
Exactly. Honestly, Dylan says, think Grizz wins the loudest intro. Is my intro still loud? I need to
It's
sort
good.
that out, Conroy.
Gets you,
Is it?
gets you going, Chris.
All right.
I'm buzzing for the show, but we'll maybe need to look at
Fair
the
enough.
volume.
Yeah, fair enough. Indian Scout says, big up, guys. Narity are still in pain, but we moved. Smash the likes. I hope you're doing well, mate. I hope you get well soon. But yeah, man. I guess the breaking news of today in terms of footballing news and indirectly linked to Liverpool because of the fact that we wanted Mbappe. He was always adamant that he wanted Madrid. But the fact that we were interested in him, then Madrid get him, meant the person that we wanted instead, who was our number one target for this summer, which was Chouameni, decided to go to Madrid as well because they couldn't get Mbappe. Just a couple of months into the season, and Mbappe Julien Laurent, the very, very reliable and connected Julien Laurent, says confirmed too. Basically, he's confirming other reporters' reports, which suggest Kylian Mbappe wants to leave PSG in January. That's the first time he can possibly leave anyway. So ASAP, he wants to leave ASAP. The relationship has broken down apparently with the FSG. I reckon the relationship broke down with FSG a long time ago. But with PSG, he feels betrayed by the club and has had enough. What a shambles! What a shambles! Where do you start with this? Like, who's to blame? PSG, Mbappe, Madrid. This is a fucking mess, Conroy.
No, it is a mess. To be honest, though, what is it? He signed a contract. It's a 3-year deal he signed.
Yeah.
So if you're PSG right now, I don't know the parameters in the contract because I know it was a very strange one. Like I know you at the start, Grizz were joking about Mbappe picking the team, and I don't know the exact details of it. But
I wouldn't be surprised, Conroy, if he had all sorts of clauses in there.
Yeah, definitely. And because of that, I feel like that this might be contradictory, but if it's the case on just they've got him in a contract now, it does put them in a better position because they've got their asset got him in a contract instead of just 6 months left. So now if he does sell, a team's going to have to pay at least a bit of money where they're going to get some financial return. I assume, unless there's a clause in it, which I'm not sure of, they're probably happier now than they were last season. But you know what I'm not getting, Grizz? If you watch PSG right now, and I do, to be honest, we all know I love Messi, and I do actually watch PSG. This is the best they've played in a long time. What I mean is actual good football, not individual football. The system they play, everything's quite fluid, and people have always said that would be quite difficult. Look at Pochettino last season. He really couldn't get them going. It was more just like, individuals having moments. So it's a strange one for him to come out now. I know there's rumours about he's not happy with his positioning, but I mean, you watched them against Benfica the other week, and I know they drew, but watch that goal. They're all involved. Surely at the moment, this is one of his best opportunities to play in a team that after the World Cup have got the potential to win the Champions League. I'm not saying they will, but it's as good a chance he's got at the moment. So it's very strange because I'd say this is the best I've seen PSG play. So obviously it's something behind the scenes and he's just not happy. Maybe those parameters and details are not being followed and he's kicking up fuss on it. So it's a mess though, Grizz. But from PSG's point of view, I assume they'll probably get financial return from this. So they're probably in a better situation than they were. I don't know if you agree
No,
or disagree with
I totally agree with you. It's a win-win situation for them, I guess, because
unless there's anything in that contract we're not sure of, but
they were about to lose him on a free, right? And he was going to get all the signing on fee and all the wages. Now they're going to get a fucking hefty fee for him. Yep. I don't know if Madrid be in a position to go for him right now. Like if the kind of money, it's mess. I don't know how they're going to resolve this. First and foremost, let's address a couple of silly comments. Mbappe talk on the 10th. We're talking about Mbappe, the general situation. Mark, wake up, son. We're not talking about Mbappe to Liverpool. We're just talking about the news, topical news, like talking about Mbappe. We're not talking about Mbappe to Liverpool. So first, get out of the way. Big up Grizz and Conroy. Which midfielder would you like to get besides Bellingham? We'll get onto that, Lito. We'll get onto that. Well, we've got so much to talk about, and I don't know how long we've got. First super chat of the afternoon says, Grizz, yo, what's good? I always say the same reply to you, my friend, and I hate saying this, not Liverpool. Grizz, we need Madrid to go for Mbappe. It would cost them a lot. Gives us a better run to Bellingham or any Premier League club, in my opinion, thinking ahead. Yeah, absolutely. But I've, as I said before, from what I've heard and who I speak to, Bellingham is not, Madrid's not his sort of choices, preferences. It's sus or City, and I believe it's a sus. But yeah.
On that, Grizz, could I just make a point as well? Now, obviously, I think Bellingham's brilliant, but Tchouaméni, Camavinga's a very, very good, brilliant midfielder, very good player when I've seen him play, and Valverde. Now, I get Bellingham's a big signing, and that's what Madrid are like. That's the Galacticos image. But would that be their priority to go for a midfielder in the summer, even taking Bellingham's attitude for a team? Because for me, they've got a strong midfield, and Modric doesn't look like he's coming out of that team anytime soon anyway, and they've already got the backups in place. So I don't know if Madrid would go for Bellingham anyway. But
I just think it's a conquer rule, innit? Get as many great players as you can. I guess.
That is their attitude, yeah.
Yeah, if their option is there, they're set for the next 7, 8 years minimum. So why wouldn't they go for him? Why wouldn't anyone go for Bellingham? Um, but of course, it's not always as simple as that. Otherwise, if it was just a money thing, then everyone would be at PSG or Madrid type thing.
Yeah,
There are other things
factors.
that players look at: relationship with fans, heritage, sporting projects, all sorts of things. So yeah, I think Todd Bowley will make a play. I genuinely think Todd Bowley will make a play for Mbappe. Todd Bowley licking his lips. I don't know if Mbappe will be interested in there, but you can imagine Chelsea, the kind of financial muscle they're flexing, because what they're saying is PSG are saying you can leave, but, but not to Madrid, which I don't know how they can
I
do
don't know how
anything.
to do that. Yeah, I don't know how they can do that, but uh, it's do you know what, Grizz? I think you're right with Chelsea, but it's be quite ironic um, if it was Tuchel in charge, because yeah, he did work under Mbappe, but now Potter's in it, and as I love Graham Potter, you know that, but I don't know if that would also have a effect, and if you make the move to Chelsea as well.
Oh, sorry, Mark. Mark's suggesting that people in the chat were saying Mbappe 2023. Ignore them, Mark. Ignore them. I'm sorry. I thought you was having a go at us.
He's having a
Uh,
go at Graham.
yeah, I'm sorry, Mark. I apologize,
All good,
mate.
Mark.
Yeah, exactly. Interesting question. Grizz, be absolutely honest with me. I always try to be honest. Come on, you know that. If we financially could, would you take Jude or Mbappe? Conroy.
Honestly, in the past, probably Mbappe, but right now, for a balance of we need a midfielder. Sorry, we need midfielders, but we'll start with Bellingham. I think Mbappe a couple of years ago, but I think, as Grizz said, we spent 80 million on Nunez. I think Mbappe in the last couple of years, you've seen his character. There seems to be a few issues there that wouldn't suit our camp. So for me, I'd go for Bellingham.
I think I'm agreeing with you. Like Mbappe is insane and elite. Like he's
He
going to be
absolutely
one of the
is.
greatest. He's
Absolutely
going to
is.
be one of the greatest players of all time. I mean, that's the dilemma, right? How can we sniff our noses up at? I mean, if the case was so, if it was a hypothetical situation like Eunice is
Yeah,
saying, but I'm taking Bellingham now because he will stay with us. Mbappe's 2, 3 year job, off he goes again.
good point
Um,
as well.
yeah, but yeah. So look, back to this Mbappe news. Look, here's what it is. The biggest regret out of this whole thing is not even not signing him. It's like the fact that he didn't go to Madrid, right? Just totally scuppered our plans about Chouameni.
Yeah.
And what is the one thing we've cried since the start of the season about midfield? Conroy, okay, so a lot of people are saying Chouameni wouldn't have made much difference to the situation. I truly believe he would have had some impact for us not to be having many points. I don't even want to talk about how many points we are, but we wouldn't be in 10th and the position and points behind the teams we are if we had Chouameni from the start of the season. That's my opinion.
No, absolutely, Chris. I think, I'm not saying would be top of the league, but I think if you've got someone in place, it doesn't feel right. You could be performing very well, but it also means you don't feel like you're miles away from where you need to be because you've got that young, vibrant. Like for me, when I've watched him from Madrid, it looks like he's going to continue to be an outstanding midfielder. That kind of, I think, puts people at ease. Doesn't distract them, but I still think there'd be more work to do. But that would be an important pillar that you've got in the team. So I absolutely agree. I think that would be huge. And then so see someone in the chat. I think Eunice mentioned other midfielders. So see, like you've got, say, people said Casado, but what I mean by that is if we still felt we're a bit light in that area with Chouameni, got it right there, then you would feel like you're maybe just one or two from impacting that. And I think you'd see how good he'd play in this team. So even if you wanted to play in a 4-2-4, 4-4-2, or the 4-3-3, you would see a massive improvement with him in the team. Absolutely. He's too good a player not to improve the team, to be honest, Chris. I don't know if you feel the same.
No, absolutely. I agree with you. I think, I made it very clear to you guys last year what I think of Chouameni. Like, I remember us talking around November, December time, and I said my number one target was Chouameni. That was before we knew how to pronounce his name. Omar says, Grizz, that's mean to Mark. I've apologized. So shut your mouth before I be mean to you and not apologize. So how'd you like that one? No beats. Sends in a super chat. Appreciate the support, my friend. He says Mbappe developing around Neymar ruined him. Yeah, look, I know you said that you've really enjoyed watching them together and everything, but you can sense that all is not well. It's very much forced. It's very much they're not naturally. And look, I'm not saying you have to be buddy buddies with your fellow teammates all the time. Like we know Sheringham and Kall weren't, for example. You know, they didn't talk, whatever. You know, but you've got to have some sort of mutual respect. I'm not sure if there's much mutual respect between the three of them. Now, I'm not saying, I'm not blaming one,
Yeah.
but it's a combination of all three overall not having much respect for each other.
See, I think Noorbeat says Neymar, because I actually think Neymar and Messi are very good friends, like they're very close, and you could tell the way they link up. But I think the thing about Messi, and it's not going to be a loving session, but like to me, Messi isn't like, he's obviously got an ego, but he doesn't mind assisting, he doesn't mind linking up. I think he's quite happy to adapt, and I feel like Mbappe wants to, I think the comment says, wants to be the main guy, whereas I think Neymar and Messi just enjoy linking up and helping each other. I think you can look at the stats, the amount of times they've laid off a goal for each other this season. I don't know if it's maybe that, Grizz, or maybe Noorbeats does have a point. If you're around Neymar, and I think Neymar's a brilliant player, but there is definitely there's always been, you know, the way he is at certain times, his actions could maybe create that attitude from Mbappe. But I'm not sure, because maybe how long has he been there? 3 years, and then this has caused issues with the French squad as well, hasn't it? In the past, Mbappe's attitude. That's maybe a fair point by Noorbeats, but I've got to be honest, and I'm not just saying it because you know how much I love him. I wouldn't necessarily think it's a Messi thing. Maybe it's just because Messi's there, and it's like the way people look at him, and that's just causing. But then why would you sign the contract? Because Messi's already been there for a season, so
it's bewildering. Look, I've said at the time, I think, I don't know, man. It's one of the mysteries. Like he was so nailed on to go Madrid, and everything was set, and everything was agreed, and they had all, you know, and why PSG forced him to stay? Because I'd never believe in that, forcing someone to stay against their will. Then you're always on tender hooks with them. They promised him so much power, and then how the hell are they going to go through with those promises with Messi and Neymar there, and the likes of Ramos there as well? You know, he's a Galactico in his own right, and it doesn't make sense. There's just no sense of unity there or togetherness, and you need all that to win the likes of Champions League.
yeah.
You can't win a Champions League. I've always said it. You can win a Champions League by maybe not being the best team that season, but you can't win it without having camaraderie and absolute unity throughout. And we've proved that. Chelsea have proved that, right? Porto have proved that. There are teams that weren't the best teams in the Champions League that won. But what's the one trait all those teams had? Absolute unity and camaraderie in one direction. You try to tell me these lads are all fighting for the same cause?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Grizz, just to add, I think maybe something we've not mentioned is Gautier. I've been actually very impressed with him, to be honest. I was a bit like, is that a big enough name? Which was probably hypocritical by me. But when I've watched him, maybe he's came in and surprised everyone, because he's been stronger than previous managers to be like, no, because I've actually not seen the likes of Messi or Neymar and Mbappe substituted as much. And not saying it's like, 60 minutes to go. I'm not saying he's been, but maybe like, 10 minutes to go, 15 minutes to go. He has done that in certain games. So I don't know if he's came in and been stronger than previous managers, and maybe he doesn't like that. Maybe he thought, as you said, he was going to call the shots. Maybe there's something in that. Just as well, shout out to Noor Beats. He actually done a good thread on Twitter, a really good thread about the Arsenal-Liverpool game. So just to shout out Noor Beats, check that out on Twitter. It was very good.
Oh, fair enough. I will check that 100%. But yeah, look, we go on to. I mean, look, there's people asking. I can't remember. I've lost it now. People asking, would you? Where is it now? Would you sell Salah or would you swap Salah for Mbappe?
For Mbappe.
Whatnot? Was that the question? Yeah, or something like that.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was. Yeah, that was the question.
The only way this deal would ever happen would involve Salah, in my humble opinion. The only way. That's all I would say on the matter. Now, whether Salah would go there, or Mbappe would come to us, obviously that's a different matter. But in terms of structuring it financially right now, it's the only way that would happen, Conroy,
Yeah,
because I know pretty much as a fact that PSG made a bid for Mohamed Salah last season and the season before. So they've always wanted Mohamed Salah. And obviously we rejected it because we had no intention of selling him. But if there was a scenario that made Mbappe to Liverpool remotely possible right now, that would be part of the deal. Thoughts, Conroy?
yeah, that is an interesting one, because it is looking at, like, it is a business obviously, but we've our primary asset who just signed a new contract would, yeah, I get exactly what you're saying, Grizz. I actually didn't even think about that. But I don't know, Grizz. I feel like right now we feel low. The supporters feel low. We feel like Salah's been quite poor as well. And maybe it's just a knee-jerk reaction to say swap Salah for Mbappe, and we'll go with that. But we know what Klopp's like. We know the culture in the team. I'd be very, very surprised if that happened, because we've fought tooth and nail for about 6 months. I'm not saying, the contract negotiations, they are a long,
But so did
tedious
they.
period.
But
So did they.
so did PSG.
Yeah,
And Mbappe.
that's ironic. What do you think? Is I couldn't see that happening, but I do agree, if it was to happen, that would be like one of the reasons. But I just think, the way our teams operated, especially under Klopp, I couldn't see that happening. What do you think?
Can't see it happening, no. But I'm just saying that if there was any remote chance of it happening, this would be the only way it would happen
That
now.
appease both parties, wouldn't it? Because they would get who they want, and we would
Yeah,
probably still take the chance in
yeah.
Mbappe.
But
Take the chance.
obviously,
Mbappe's amazing. You know what I'm saying? They'll take the chance with integrating him into our squad.
we're talking about sort of hypotheticals, yeah. And
Yeah,
obviously, we're
absolutely.
missing out two crucial factors, and this is the players themselves. If they agreed, and these kind of things don't really take place in the modern day game. Not many swaps take
Yeah.
place plus cash.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's like Pro Evo. I mean, used to do it in FIFA and Pro Evo all the time, but it never seems to happen in modern day football.
Mo's in the chat, my Eurostars co-host. Thank you very much, Mo, for
Great
being
show.
in the
Check
chat.
that out if you have not. I watched it every week. Are you on tomorrow
We
night?
we won't be because we've got the post match. You see,
Of course,
the Liverpool.
silly question.
So we're gonna try to do it on a Thursday,
Brilliant.
maybe at some point. So I'll post that when we're ready to do that. In fact, reminded me, I'm going to chat to everyone. There's actually over 200 watching now, and if it's only 40 likes, you guys are embarrassing. So
Yeah, like
press
that.
the like button. Stop being embarrassing. Change Studios says, I love how the conversation has changed today. Haha, love the content, Grizz. Yeah, look, we were going to talk about we're about to get on to sort of the Liverpool news, but this was just some topical breaking news, and there's no harm in it, guys. We're not saying Mbappe to Liverpool is on or anything like that. We're discussing what the news is out there today and seeing what our opinions are and what the chat thinks. But on to Liverpool and on to us, Conroy. Every day it seems
I was
like
enjoying that. I was enjoying that chat, Grizz.
I
Now
know,
we're back to
but
the reality.
back to the reality. We are in a situation now where we wake up and we kind of have to wake up to. Well, we actually wake up to sometimes bad news, which coincides with good news and it balances out. And again, the same today. So, what do we know? We know Trent Alexander-Arnold. Well, first we found out Luis Diaz's injury is semi-serious. I don't know how you describe it. So we're looking at 6 to 8 weeks, which means around 5 to 6 league games. It could have been much worse, right, Conroy?
Yeah, because it's not needing surgery as far as I'm aware. And to be honest, guys, I'll be honest to all the chat, everyone, I think the World Cup's probably came at a good time this year. It's definitely, we were all saying that at the start of the season, complaining about it, but in hindsight now, it probably has worked out quite well. After that, the reaction, I was a bit worried. So 5 to 6 games, Grizz, I'll take that. I think that's, the best out of that situation, to be honest.
Yeah, absolutely is. LFC Network says smash the likes button. Please do so. It helps. I've tried a different time for you guys. See how many of you are free and supporting the thing. And you have over 200 of you guys in here. Absolutely
Much
humbled.
appreciated.
No Beats sends in a super chat. He says, I don't think Mbappe is worth the hassle anymore. Yeah, look, maybe he's playing up. No Beats, maybe he's playing up because he doesn't want to be there. There's always that aspect, right? Maybe Maybe like Naby Keita was playing up at Leipzig because he didn't want to be there no more, and he wanted to come to Liverpool. Same thing with even our very own Virgil van Dijk. He didn't want to play at Southampton anymore. He wanted to come here. So when players don't want to be at their clubs, they do stupid stuff just to maybe force that move. I don't know. I'm not saying he's, because we don't know him, what he's like personally, whatever. Maybe he's doing it on purpose or he's instigating this or whatever. But if I had the option to try to get Klopp to be the father figure that someone like Mbappe would need or require, I'd risk the hassle. Conroy?
Yeah, do you know what? It's one of them. It's like, I just think he's went so far the last couple of years to cause quite an issue. It can make the camp a bit toxic. But I think when you talk about the potential you've got as a player, the one thing that I kind of contradict myself is that that's the way I feel. I feel like it would upset. It could potentially be a disaster in the camp to a certain extent. However, if you could imagine Mbappe and Haaland in the same league, Liverpool versus City, like that would be, if you did get that signing, either way you look at it, it would be massive one way or the other. It could potentially be groundbreaking. I think that's what I would agree with, Grizz. It's like there is a percentage there that could be a game changer, and so you maybe just want to risk it. I still think as a player though, I think he'll inevitably go to Madrid, and he's got much more to give. And I think when he sees what Haaland's doing this season as well, that's probably on his mind as well. Like there's definitely an ego there. He'll be thinking, I want to be top dog for when Messi, Ronaldo, or even if they're where they are now in the next couple of years, I want to take that mantle. So that's maybe on his mind as well. But then why sign that deal? This is what I don't get.
Yeah, there's obviously much more behind it. Arif asks Chris Fernandez, Fofana or Casado. Wow, what a hard choice. Fernandez from Benfica, Argentinian, really highly thought of, coming along real nice. Most of the major clubs are in for him. Casado, we know from Brighton. We're very much interested in him from what I know. And Fernandez. But my personal choice is Yusuf Fofana. My personal choice, probably the least known out of the three, probably the least talked about out of the three, but it's just a personal choice. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying no to Fernandez or Casado, especially with our current state of midfielders. All fantastic, all very, very reasonably priced. You're looking at around 50 million for all three of them. Not for all three of them, sorry, for each.
That's amazing.
Yeah, what a bargain.
Tomorrow.
Around 40, 50 million for each for three of them. But my personal choice, Yusuf Fofana. The hire to replacement for Choumeni. This guy is, I think he got his first call up for France as well recently. I'm not 100% sure if that's the case. But yeah, Yusuf Fofana is magnificent. He's going to be the next best thing, guys. Conroy, watch out for Yusuf Fofana. Everyone's going to be talking about him within 6 months to a year. This guy is going to be...
You've got credit in the bank, Grizz. The Choumeni, I know it didn't work out, but your shouts for him were quite early on. You said this is the guy, and from what I'm seeing at Madrid, it looks like you were completely right, to be honest. And he's only
so suited for us, Conroy. So suited for us. Everything that we've discussed about power, pace, dominating, reliable, durable, energy, everything, he's got that.
Yeah, I think in his passing, actually, I know it was good, but even it looks like, I think he's through balls. I think that end product ball improve at Madrid when you're playing. As he gets older as well, he's honestly some talent, and I actually does annoy me very much. But they've also got Camavinga and Valverde that no one seems to talk about. Camavinga was a joke last season in the Champions League when he came on. So they're spoiled of riches there, but it is what it is.
LFC Network says, which club does he play for? Monaco. Go and check him out, Monaco.
What about Ramsey, Grizz? What do you think about Jacob Ramsey? Do you think he'd just be too expensive? Because when I watch him, I feel like he would be a good fit for us. Durable.
We made an inquiry for Jacob Ramsey this summer. I did tweet it. We were quoted 40 million plus Curtis Jones. So we said no thanks. There
Think
you
that
go.
might be one to keep an eye on going forward. That might get reduced with the form of Villa, possibly.
Yeah, yeah.
Never
Why
know.
not? Why not? Stevie G on the brink. Villa not playing really well. Yeah, possibly. We do love him. We do really, really like him. So what do we got? What do we got with Liverpool? We got this for Liverpool this morning. This is the update we have right now. Here we go. So what do we know? We know Trent Alexander-Arnold possibly 2 to 3 weeks out, which obviously means he misses Rangers, he misses Man City. Do we have a Champions League game next week? People, let us know. I'm not 100% sure. We've got a break, but 2 to 3 weeks. The news today was of Joel Matip. 2 to 3 weeks, Joel Matip picked up the calf strain in the game against Arsenal. At the time, I didn't really understand the substitution, and now it makes sense. At the time, I was thinking, you don't really just take off your centre half who's in the rhythm and flow of a game and bring a fresh centre half against an absolute dynamite in Gabriel Jesus, who actually goes on to win that first header, doesn't he? Or gets the better of Khanage in that duel that led to the third goal, which was really, really annoying. So Trent missing 2-3 weeks. Conroy, I hate to say that old line, but possibly a good time for him to step out of the team.
I actually agree, Grizz, and I'm not wanting injury on anybody, of course, and I know you didn't mean that in that way either. But what I would say is, I don't know because when he's on it, he's so pivotal to our creativity. I don't know if Klopp would have taken him out the firing line. I'm not sure he would have, and I think a few fans, I think Keith mentioned it recently as well. I think it may be a good time last week to take him out for a few games because he's just not public enemy number one, but you know what it's like. Social media has a field day, even the punditry as well. Now he's an easy target at the moment, and he's giving them excuses to bring him up. Do not get me wrong, but I think it's a good time now. It's only a 2 to 3 week injury, so it means he can rest up a bit, come back, and just I think physically and mentally, I think it's good for him to have a break because he can't be enjoying his football right now. There's no way he can be enjoying his football, and I think it's quite good timing, to be honest.
Yeah, I know what you mean, and I hear you. I would have preferred that he was rested as opposed to injured.
Oh no,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
Yeah. No, I know you didn't mean that. Sorry,
yeah.
I know you didn't mean that. But what I meant was like feet up, rested, as opposed to being worried about him sort of not being fit or how his recovery going type thing. Guys, there's over 250 of you here now, or close to 250 now. Smash a like, me afternoon army. Come on, this is the first time we're doing an afternoon stream for you. Checking the love. We're testing your love and support, and so far you're doing grand. You're doing a great job. So I might be doing daytime streams for you guys as well, if I get enough likes. Joel Matip, patchy form again. Couple of games he looks like imperious Joel Matip. Couple of games he's looked out of it, just like everyone else, I guess. Just there's no consistency at all at the moment, and he's part of the big guys, the main guys that we look forward to being consistent, having a calming influence on everyone around him. He's not had that. He's not been consistent, and now he's out for 2-3 weeks.
Yeah, no, I agree, Grizz. I think it's becoming an assumption now, or I think we should all take it that it's a collective issue now, because sometimes there'll be a few players who, they're playing quite well, but even Thiago, he's been playing reasonably well, then he has a really poor game the other day, or for his standards, and I think it is a collective at the moment, and I'd say Joe being out, there is times when he came back, he looked quite good, and then I think he had the Brighton game, it's quite poor in that game. And then obviously you had game at the weekend, which I know he had injury, but he obviously didn't look great as well. So I think I'm looking at it as a collective now, Grizz. I'm not as much individual. Obviously, there are certain players who are playing worse than others. Like, you're still going to judge it on that, but there's definitely, especially in our backline or midfield, there's a bit of a collective right now where the only positives, well, not only positive, but our attack, the last game showed a bit. We discussed that already, but it's a collective that you might have some players playing reasonable in one game, but then the next week they're poor. So there's obviously a not a great feeling in the camp at the moment. The confidence is on the floor.
It is on the floor, mate. It's absolutely on the floor. and that doesn't help. Obviously, those two injuries on the back of what we already know about Luis Diaz, who's going to be back after the World Cup. He wasn't going anyway to the World Cup, but again, it would have been amazing if he had his time to put his feet
Rest,
up and
rest up. Yeah,
rest, right? And he's been sparkling. I thought he was fantastic against Arsenal. He was by far our most potent attacker, possibly with Nunes. Just our luck at the moment with Luis Diaz. But again, as we said, could have been much worse.
definitely. I actually thought Grizz, his decision making looked brilliant against Arsenal. That's what I was most impressed with. You know, the cross.
Yeah, you've been speaking about sort of individually he's been good,
It's been
but
good, yeah.
but you wanted to see more in terms of his play.
Link up, and by the way,
Yeah,
that's not having a go at him. I think the team's not been good enough around him at times, but he's usually just say, "I'll get the ball, try to individually create something," which is great. But I thought his link up with Nunes was very, very good, and that cross, people are not talking about that cross enough. Obviously, we lost the game, so that makes sense. But that cross to Nunes, I thought was great. First time ball in the box, and he moved over to the right. So I'm being impressed. The thing that's really got to me with this one, Grizz, is that time, a bit like Haaland for City, he's not going to World Cup. He could just focus, rest up, and then get ready to kick on when we come back from the World Cup. But not to be, unfortunately.
yeah, unfortunately. Um, and obviously we've got the usual Naby stuff and obviously the Arthur stuff, which the more I speak about
Mess.
it, the more I'm just going to lose my temper, I guess, or my cool, and we're just going to. Yeah, we don't like to sort of shit on. I don't know. Well, do you want to say something about the whole Arthur Miller
It's
scenario?
just
It's poor. It was crap. It was crap, Conroy.
sometimes I assume, sometimes I just assume when I probably shouldn't, but you think, do you know what, this has been fought out, but there's at the time of it was obviously the last day of the transfer window. There were some people saying, it's panic buy, which ultimately it was, but you thought there'd be, there's a bit of a, what's the word, thoroughness put into it. Do you know? No, we'll get him in, we'll get him fit, he'll do a job for us, similar to Thiago in playing style, not on ability, but you know what I mean. But it just looks like an absolute mess now. And I'm quite level-headed, Grizz, but to me, that's an absolute mess. We've got a midfielder in to help, and now he's injured for 2 to 3 months, which is not. It's not his fault, by the way. That's one thing. I don't believe. I do believe. I know.
No, this is nothing. This is no
Yeah,
slight on
he has
Arthur.
been trying. He really has. But obviously, he's an injury-prone player. These things happen. It's just. It adds fuel to the fire, doesn't it, Grizz? This is the thing that now people are already annoyed, and that just exaggerates it, or exaggerates it. I'd say that's the best word.
It's mad, isn't it? I just think it's one of the most horrible decisions we've made in many a season. I'm talking about the whole non-buying of a midfielder. I'm not saying the decision to buy Arthur Melo is one of the worst in isolation, but sort of the whole, if you combine the non-signing of one of your top targets and then panic buying into someone who was not on that list, and I'm pretty certain nowhere near that list, nothing to do with anything, and then you just bring him in on the last hours. In combination, that is one of the worst transfer decisions I can remember. Can you remember? Can you think of a worse one
No,
in terms of how it's affected us?
no, I'd agree. I think like you're right. So say you get a midfielder in, and then you get Arthur Melo as an additional signing. I think that's okay. Do you know what, we're trying to have a bit more depth? I think everyone be like, do you know what, it's worth the risk. If we can get a tune out of can maybe help. Thiago control, bring a bit like Thiago does control into the midfield. But I agree. The only one that comes to mind, and it's not really the same with style, was it the last day when we signed Carroll for 35 million? Was that the
Yeah.
last day? But that was more like, that was a panic, wasn't it? Because it was just like he was in form, but it was just like we paid over the odds. But I still
Mm.
think for what we currently have, I would say that's right up there, the Arthur Melo one. And you called it. You did say it. You did say it, and it's annoying, isn't it? But it is what it is.
It is what it is. We can't change anything now, so it's only a matter of doing our own heads in. But let's get to sort of today's news in terms of possible good news as well. As I said, we just can't have everything right now. What do we know? We know Andy Robertson was back in training today alongside his mate Oxlade Chamberlain. very good news on Andy Robertson and Oxlade-Chamberlain. We kind of expected Andy Robertson to be back within
Yep.
2 weeks, and so on. So it happens. We'll get on to sort of if we're throwing him in for tomorrow. We'll do our prediction for tomorrow. But just the news on Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain. I mean, that's a bit of a surprise, a pleasant surprise. He's not registered for Champions League, so he won't be anywhere near the squad. Not that he's ready to be anywhere near the squad. But I guess at this stage, every little helps in the Premier League campaign, right?
This is the thing, and I know I'm seeing some of the comments now, like
Straight away, yeah.
Ox is a saviour. Listen, what we're doing here is we're just looking for some positives, more in this sense of depth of the squad. So right now, we all know, everyone knows both our thoughts in the midfield situation. We shouldn't be at this situation, but we can't sign anybody tomorrow, folks. It's unfortunate. It is what it is, though. We just have to kind of deal with it. And right now, I'll take any more depth I can, just so we've got some players who can do a job. And you might say, Ox, I know a lot of people thought his form last season was poor, and I agree. But right now, we'll take all we can. I think, as you said, every little helps. In the moment, I would take that. I think the Robbo news, obviously, I'm going to say that, but I do think that is good news, because we could just do with that at the moment, because I thought even if it's interchanging game by game with Shimikas, or play 60, play 30, or if someone's having a good game, maybe not substitute them, but just to have that there is a bit of what's the word? Not a plan B, but just to have that depth there right now.
Yeah, of course, it helps. I mean, look, Tsimikas hasn't been great either. Every time he stepped in last season, he was so good.
Yeah,
I don't know what's going on at the moment.
It's his delivery. That's the one thing I always thought, his delivery. And how many debates have I had on the shows about defending Robbo? But the one thing I always thought Shimikas last season is when he got a chance, he'd have 3 crosses, and 2 of those 3 would be on the money, like a wand of a left foot. Now it seems to be that even that part of his game's not been that great. It's been okay, and that's his biggest strength. I would always argue that Robbo can get up and down better, but this season his final products, and maybe towards the end of last season, has not been on it. But that's the one I've been most surprised with Shimikas. I actually honestly thought, Grizz, he would have grabbed this opportunity.
Yeah, we all did.
But it's even if he looks like he's gassing, 60 minutes, I feel like people can live with that. It's more the end product that I've been so surprised in. But I actually think they two have quite a good relationship, though. I've seen quite a few interviews where it's like they do try to help each other. So I think even with his introduction, I think it might actually be good for both, because he did look a bit done in against Arsenal quite early in the game, up and down. And let's not exaggerate that Robbo could have got done as well, because Saka is a very talented player. They're flying right now, but it wasn't the easiest. And I think one of the comments says he is in a bad team. Like, that full defence is not in form, so it's not easy as well for Shimikas now. And I would agree with that.
Also, some more positive news. It's not all doom and gloom, people. Despite my tone, I'm just tired. Got so much going on everywhere.
You're everywhere, Grizz. You're on, what was it, 90 minutes yesterday, then Big Six last night.
It's non-stop.
Then you've done your show before Big Six as well, which I realised last night. I mean,
but it's not that.
But for you, Grizz, you're constantly doing it.
But check this out. It's all brilliant and lovely when your team's doing well as well, so you can speak about them in a positive light. When you're getting shit everywhere you go, then it's not so great. Do you know what I mean? Like, people saying, "Oh, isn't it amazing?" Like, kind of working in and around football, like speaking about football, as your daytime job, as your full-time job. But when your team's going through the war, I don't know, what's it going through now, Conroy? It's going through some...
I think, do you know what it is, Grizz? There's been worse times. Let's not exaggerate. Hicks and Gillette, Hodgson, the Britannia 6-1. There's been some shocking times. I think it's just because we've been in such a high last season as well, and even the season before, there was mitigating factors for it, the injury crisis. And I'm not one to go on about that, but that really was like an exceptional season. I think now, because it's just went from a high to low so quickly, that it's maybe just, it's not been like a slow burner. It just went from one extreme to the other, and I think that's what's making it a bit harder to adjust your expectations for the season. But you know what? I think we'll get there. At least what I'd say now is he's trying different things, Grizz. This is what we've been speaking about for about a month now. adaptability. To be fair to Klopp, he is trying different things. So I can't ask him to do that, and then when he does it, say, "Oh, why did you do that?"
Why did you
I've
do
got to
that?
say at least he's trying it, and we'll see. Hopefully tomorrow, I know we're going to speak about it. For me, I hope he keeps the same formation because I'd rather he gave it a good go with the system to see if we can pull it off.
Well, we're going to get into that right now. Just going to say hello to a couple of channel members and personal friends. Zuberi, of course, 2 more games and Simi will come good. He says the guy never had any rhythm since joining. Very good point. Very good point.
Zubiri was on the call and wasn't he?
He was
Zubiri's
in the
always
call-in.
very good. I listen in, Zubiri, very good, mate. Always like your points, even at the debates. It's very good. That's a good. The call-in show's right up there as well, Grizz. I was doing something Saturday night and listened in. So yeah, shout out to Zubiri.
It's turning out to be one of the popular shows on my channel. It's actually class.
Yes,
Sass, big up Sass, my friend. What's up, Grizz? Sass, you know the drill. You know the drill, Sass. So yeah, Curtis Jones back in training as well. The bonus. Curtis Jones been out for all the season actually. Another guy would have had so much aspirations of grabbing a chance, given the vote of confidence from Jurgen Klopp, very much like Naby Keita and Oxlade-Chamberlain, where he said, "I've got enough midfielders." Game week 9 or 10 now, and none of those midfielders have had a chance to be on the pitch next year. When Klopp's comments look awful. And what does it say about those 3 midfielders that he's spoken about? But 2 of them are seemingly fit now. Curtis Jones ahead of Oxlade-Chamberlain in terms of match fitness, I'd say. Curtis Jones has got an outside chance of being in the squad tomorrow, possibly even starting. We'll get into that right now. So, Curtis Jones, Oxlade-Chamberlain, and Robertson. The one decision that's been made for Jurgen Klopp before we start predicting our lineups is no Calvin Ramsey. Calvin Ramsey is, I'm not sure if he's injured again, but he wasn't in first team training today. That's all I know.
It's just adds on to it, doesn't it? If it is an injury, it's not his fault, but so the signings this season, if that's the case, Grizz, we've signed a right back who can't get in the squad, and we've got a midfielder who can't get in the squad through injury. And I'm not having a go at the players, by the way. I just think it's ironic. We've tried to buy depth and we can't get them in the subs.
What do we say? What do we do? Well, what do we do? What do we say? What do we do is we get ready for tomorrow, a very critical, I'd say, game against Rangers for a couple of reasons. One of the reasons, or the main reason being, we get 3 points. We're pretty much through to the next round, which is our absolute bare minimum target right now, Conroy. Because if we win tomorrow, and like is expected, Napoli beat Ajax at home, that's pretty much us through, right? And it's the bare minimum right now.
I mean, absolutely. I feel like we do need Napoli. If they can do us a favour, it'd be much appreciated tomorrow, because they're on fire right now. I actually watched them at the Ajax Stadium. I forgot the name. Amsterdam Arena. Is that right?
Amsterdam Arena.
Yeah. They looked ridiculous. That the Georgian winger they look on fire. They really, really do. They're going to be an interesting proposition, I feel, in the knockout stages anyway. But what I would say tomorrow, huge for us, because if we can get the win, and it's going to be difficult. It's going to be difficult, honestly. It'll be a cauldron. I guarantee it'll be a cauldron. If you were at the game last week, or if you just watched on TV with the scene, brought a big away support. They're going to make it hostile tomorrow. It'd probably be a good example was it Red Star Belgrade a couple of years ago, Grizz?
Mm-hmm.
When we lost 2-0. We just kind of took the players a bit off guard to start with in that. So I'd say need to be on our game for that. But we win tomorrow, it's massive, because basically, I was speaking to someone earlier, it can take the pressure off. If Ajax lose, we win, can take the pressure off a little bit on us and can let us, go into those last 2 games near enough there, which I think will be very, very useful. But what I would say is they need to be up for it. See that first 15 minutes tomorrow. See if we start. Now, I know, obviously, Arsenal, Rangers, there's massive levels in between. I get that. I'm just saying, don't expect it to be Liverpool controlling the ball from the first minute tomorrow. It will be hostile. They'll try and get in the faces. It's going to happen. I'm sure they will be, but then I've stopped assuming anything now, Grizz. They need to be ready for that. That's all I would say. Neville always speaks about when United went to Anfield. There's different levels. I understand that. I'm just saying they're going to try and make that as hostile as possible. So just be prepared for that. And I think if we do, we control the game. We'll get through it fine. Just be aware of that. That's all I would say.
We have to be, Conroy. We have to be. If we're not aware of this right now, there is something seriously wrong.
Yeah.
So we have to start carefully. Doesn't matter the opposition, doesn't matter the caliber of the opposition. Teams can catch you cold. And as you said, if they get that first goal, my God, the atmosphere will be rocking anyway at the start of the game. But if they get any encouragement and anything to hold on to, tomorrow could get really, really messy. And I dread not to think if we lose tomorrow. I just dread not to think about it, honestly. It's not inconceivable. I'm confident of getting a result tomorrow, but I'm not normal confident.
No, because it is gone. It will be hot. I'm telling you right now. You will see that it's like that Red Star Belgrade's the first one in my head, and it's like, see that crowd. Let's so say for example, say the striker wins a header tomorrow. There'll be cheers for that. That'll be the attitude.
Yeah. There'll be tackles like AJ did. There's tackles be flying in, getting the crowd up. Tackles be flying.
Guarantee.
We need a good referee. I'm not trying to be a wussy and sort of be a softie and say, oh, we need referees protection. But we do. We lost Luis Diaz and Trent Alexander-Arnold to nasty tackles over the weekend. So you do need a good referee.
I think so. I definitely. And what I would say as well, if you look at Rangers' run to Europa League, now different competitions, but if you look at like the match against Dortmund, they didn't have Haaland at the time. They still had Bellingham and Leipzig, who are no mugs either. At Ibrox, they can make it really, really like be on you, like because the fans are right next to the goal, they're on you. So that's something I would say that I think they say just calm down, get used to it. The first 10 minutes, nothing stupid, and then I think your class will shine through. But if you look at those games, Rangers, I think if I remember right, scored early or scored in the first half in both of them. So I'll be honest, Grizz, my fear tomorrow is if Rangers score early, you give them something, and then their levels of energy will just go tenfold.
Of course they will, and this is what we're trying to, and this is what we're struggling to contain. Other teams' energy levels. It's what we're trying to contain. It's what we're struggling to contain. Let's be honest. We never ever had that problem, but now we do have that problem where we're struggling to contain other teams' energy levels. And if the crowd helps the energy levels already, then on top of already being higher than us, then as I said, and obviously with the few injuries and obviously tired minds now as well, fragile minds as well, we need to get through this period because it's not going to get any easier on the weekend. I know we're going to speak about Man City later on in the week, but one hurdle at a time, and tomorrow's not going to be no easy. Let's try to pick a team between us, guys. There's 300 of you in here. Let's get the likes up. Hit the like button, and we keep going. Appreciate the love. He says, love this channel, best LFC content. Really appreciate that, man. Thank you very much. What are we saying? We're saying Alisson. And then I guess straight away what we're saying is Joe Gomez, I guess. I mean, me and you both had a shout for Ramsey because of the fact that he's played against Rangers before. He's coming from a Scottish Premier League. And it's about time he's given an opportunity if he's been in training for around 2 weeks like he was before today. That looks like a no goer. So is it Gomez?
Yeah, I think absolutely Gomez. What's your other option? Milner right back. I think we'll go
Here
with Gomez.
We go.
Yeah, so I think Gomez right back. And then what do you think? Do you think the centre backs pick themselves as well, Grizz, with Matip being out? So Khanage and VVD.
Unless you're saying Phillips, comes in and rest. I don't know, rest what? Rest Virgil and Phillips and Konate. I mean, they were the centre back pairing were they not the centre back pairing in the San Siro?
Yeah. I think though, Grizz, I think he'll probably, because VVD was good last week against Rangers, I think he'll keep VVD in. And my only question would be though, is Konate fit enough to play a 90? I'm assuming he is, but because he got put in against Arsenal with 30 minutes to go. But I'm going to assume he is, and I think it has to be Khanage and Van Dijk, and I think they'll probably be playing against Cholak, who plays, because Morelos started last week, but a lot of Rangers fans actually wanted Cholak to start. He scored 10 in 9 games this season, and he scored 3 goals in the Champions League qualification rounds.
Do you know if he started on the weekend?
Yeah, he scored twice to beat St Mirren 4-0. So he scored twice. He's actually been, honestly, because I stay in Scotland, I think it's 1.5 million. He's actually been quite a good signing. That's a very good signing for 1.5 million. Scored against PSV in both legs of that the playoff round.
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely think he's stepped up in matches before. So I'm not saying we've got enough to deal with him. I'm just saying be wary. So I think it'll be Khanage and VVD, because I think Klopp will not go into this. In previous years, maybe that will rest a few players. One, form-wise, I don't think you can do that.
We're in a position to do so.
Yeah, and secondly, there's certain grounds where I just feel like, through your experience, now we can't risk that in this type of game. I just think it would be a mistake.
Robertson thrust back in there or stay with Tsimikas?
I think he'll be on the bench. I think he might be on the bench. I think he'll maybe have is Robert, because he's in the squad, isn't he? The Champions League squad.
100%,
I think he'll put him on the bench. I think, just in case. But I think Tsimikas starts 100%.
So Tsimikas starts, and then we've got, I guess, as always with us, the dilemmas in midfield. Yeah. I'm pretty much assuming Fabinho comes back in.
Same.
Yeah. Now, how does he come back in? Part of a 2 or part of a 3?
Well, I think Fabinho comes in because he didn't start at the weekend. Don't think Henderson or Fabinho have covered themselves in glory in these games, but I just think he'll bring Fabinho in. I've wrote it down here, Grizz. I still think it will be a 2. I think it will be Thiago and Fabinho. What do you think? Or do you think it will be a 3?
Have we got 4 strikers now? Can we risk playing 4 strikers now with the Diaz injury? Or are you suggesting Carvalho be thrown in ahead?
Well, you've got a few options. You could put Bobby's still fine, isn't it? You could put Bobby or Carvalho in the 10. I think you definitely play Nunes because he was good last week against Rangers and good at the weekend. Salah will play in the right, and I think Jota will play in the left. To be honest, I think he will stick with that formation. The only reason, Grizz, is when we've played 4-3-3, it's not looked good. Like, it looks like there's gaps. Whereas we played Rangers last week with the 4-2-4, 4-4-2, whatever you want to say, and we were quite successful. Albeit it is at Ibrox, it's a away tie. I still think he'll go with that. What do you think? Do you think we'll go for a 4-3-3?
I think like this.
Well, maybe Thiago and Henderson starts instead of Thiago.
Fabinho and Henderson, you mean?
Yeah, Fabinho and Henderson, yeah.
I think we go back to a 3 tomorrow.
And you think he puts Elliott in?
I think he throws Elliott or Carvalho in. Or Curtis Jones.
Curtis Jones.
I wouldn't rule out Curtis Jones tomorrow. But maybe too early. Maybe too early for Curtis Jones.
That type of fixture, the first fixture coming back.
Yeah. I think Nunes. Okay, so I think the nailed-ons are Salah, Nunes, Bobby, but then that shape, I don't get that shape. Then you see,
maybe Jota, because Jota has played well and put him on the left.
I think Jota is saved for City. He's just come back from a quite serious injury.
Yeah, he did look tired when he came off.
He was taken off against Arsenal. I think you just give him a couple of more days off.
Fair enough.
And I think just rest, make sure he's ready for City. But then...
Who's playing on the left then? Bobby Firmino.
Curtis Jones or Carvalho.
Carvalho could be it. Good point.
You know, it could be Carvalho or Curtis Jones. There you go. Omar's copying me.
Yeah.
Carvalho or Jones on the left, he's typed
it up as you said it and said that's a good shout. You know, that's good, Omar. He's just told me it's a good shout, mate.
I don't know. What else would you do? Look, in the midfield, I guess we're going to look to control it more. We couldn't control it. Unless we go toe-to-toe with them and say, look, it depends on Rangers' approach, I guess, as well. Like, we could hit them on the break. If they're going to commit forward and play on the halfway line or they're not going to play on the halfway line, but if they're going to come to attack us, because they need a win for anything, like they don't really, they've got nothing to lose, really, have they? So will they want to come out all guns blazing? And if so, we can just play our front four or a version of a four, play the double pivot, and then just pick them off on the break with the guys that you've said. I'm tempted to try Carvalho in the 10, but if Bobby's fit, and especially with no Diaz, it doesn't make sense to. I don't know. I'm a bit confused today.
The Carvalho shout, no, I forgot. That's actually a reasonable shout, Grizz, because we did say on Sunday we said Jota actually done a really good job, but he's not a 10, you know. So it might be interesting to see if Carvalho test the waters, if he could slot in there, which I know he has for Fulham in the past.
But who'd you drift out? But who'd you drift out to the left though? Well, that's the problem.
That's the thing. Then it's probably only going to be Jota or Jones, and I think he's probably going to play Jota at the left if Carvalho's in the 10. But do you know what, Grizz? This is maybe a question. They played a 5 at the back last week, played a 5-4-1. And that's
they won't do that again.
I don't think they will. I've wrote a potential formation for them here. I think they will go 4-2-3-1, which was they normally play because they're at home. So I think it'll be like McGregor, Goldson, Ben Davis, Barisic, Tavernier right back. I think it'll be Jack and Lundstrom probably in their 2, and Kent, and I don't know, we've got a few wingers, maybe Matondo, Tillman probably not, Matondo or Sakala, and it'll be Cholak up front. So I think they will be more expansive than they were last week. So it might side with going for like a 4-2-4, you know, just because we've went for the last couple of games. But I get what you're saying, the 4-3-3. I'll be honest, I think he'll keep that, but I wouldn't be surprised if he went back to the 4-3-3.
Yeah, I think Elliott probably gets a start again. He's been left out for a couple of games. But again, it depends on what the mindset is for City in terms of formation-wise. What possibly can we do? I think Henderson might sit this one out. I have a feeling.
What do you think is more important, Grizz? Someone said it in the comments there. Now, not to be silly, like you want to win both games, but right now, is it actually more important we win tomorrow? Then I'm not saying you're not going to not try to win, but is this game maybe became more important?
That's such a tough question.
I know. That's why I asked that. I didn't want to answer it.
No, I'm still going for City as the more important game. I win at City, and it changes everything, doesn't it? Galvin, I get that. Yeah, I want to win against City. It's far more important. But yeah, look, we haven't been able. Sorry, guys, we haven't been able to decide on a final formation. All right, let's try.
I'll write it out then. So we'll go right. So we'll go Alisson, yes. Gomez, Kanate, VVD, and Shimikas. That's our back, right?
Yeah, I think we're certain on this. I think we're certain on the back four.
Yep.
I think we're certain on Fabinho.
Yep.
That's all we're certain on. I think we're certain on Nunes and Salah.
Yep. So we've just got to decide if, I know you don't think Henderson, but really it's only going to be Thiago then, isn't it? Or Milner?
I wouldn't put it past us to start Jones and Milner in midfield, something like that.
And a 4-3-3, Fabinho, Jones and Milner.
Like fresh legs in midfield. Do you know what I mean? Like save those midfield legs for City.
Yep. And then if that's fine, it's going to probably have to be Jota or Carvalho on the left then.
Or we could go, as much as people won't like it, I'm just predicting the team, right? This is not what me and Conroy would do. Fabinho and Milner as a pivot, as old wise heads, right? And then release front four of your choice. So then you could go Carvalho, Bobby, Nunes, Salah.
Yeah, I think you'll raise Jota after we've discussed it. So that's probably. I think I forgot about Carvalho in my prep today, so I think that might be the case. But you think Elliott will miss out then if that's the case?
That's the problem, isn't it?
But do you know what, Grizz? If he's going with this type of formation, then there's going to be some sacrifices. And
I think he's going to have to rest Thiago and Hendo for City. Andy says keep Fabinho, Jota, Thiago fit. Play against Man City, but still play against Rangers off the bench.
Fair shout. Good shout.
I think there will be a couple of changes tomorrow. We won't go with the same 11 that played against Arsenal.
It will be interesting though, Grizz. The shape's going to be really interesting tomorrow.
Shape's going to be really interesting. It's going to give us a massive insight in terms of if we're persisting with that.
Because then that'll be what, 4 free games, and then it's
Yeah.
Arsenal away, Rangers away. Now, obviously different levels of opposition, but still quite difficult grounds. So then that would probably indicate that going forward, this is it. This is what we're sticking with. So that'll be interesting.
It'll be interesting. But yeah, look, people, this has been a pre-match carnage to Rangers versus Liverpool with a bit of Mbappe chat and injuries chat and everything around Liverpool. Let's hope we can bring some positivity against Rangers tomorrow, get a win, and sort of get us in a better mood for the huge, massive encounter against Man City on the weekend. One that we're probably not looking forward to on the whole. Maybe there are some Reds that are thinking, yeah, no, we're looking forward to this because we'll raise our game, but they haven't given us any indication of being able to do that this season. I stress this season. But yeah, Conroy, I guess we'll chat later on in the week, I guess.
Yeah, when's your pre-match?
So we're doing a preview with Big Steve, my good mate, on Thursday. So we're going to do that. We're going to check that out at some point.
Need to tune in for that, guys. That's going to be... Big Steve is phenomenal. I saw him last week when he came in after the City result. Came in with the Undertaker and the Big Six. That might have been one of the best.
Yeah,
from Skullduggery. That was iconic. So
well, let's hope we. And when I say we, like Liverpool coming like the Undertakers this weekend.
I hope
now.
so.
Do you know what I mean? I hope so. And that would be beautiful. Might make our show interesting on Sunday night with the RedFellas as well. Which you know, hopefully not therapeutic.
It's not another therapy session.
Do you know what I mean? But ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't liked the stream, please make sure you like the stream on your way out. That's all we ask for. And subscribe if you haven't as well. That would be lovely as well. We're really close on the way to 20,000 subscribers. My target was November. Touch and go. It will be a year in November. So let's get to that 20,000 mark. Appreciate your love. Appreciate your support. Me and Conroy are saying good night. Arrivederci. Ciao. All of that business. I don't know how to say. How do you say it in Scottish?
Bye. Goodbye.
Bye.